Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
I'm Bill, and it was a very, very interesting week in pro sports starting in the bubble
Yes.
with the players deciding that they were going to try and use their leverage, which they have, to try and make some gains after the shooting. And another unfortunate cop shooting of shooting somebody 7 times in the back, which I'll never understand. But
No.
7 times just seems, it's sad to say, but Bruce Willis doesn't shoot somebody 7 times in a movie, so it's just crazy. I don't know where it comes from, but in any case, they've made some real growth. And Mom and I were talking about 2 months ago. I wrote in my SBJ column that all the stadiums and arenas in our country should be polling places. And I saw that that's really coming along. I'm not saying I get credit for it, but I said it 2 months ago in my column. So hopefully somebody read it, got the idea, and then pushed it from there.
Yeah.
But I saw that was one of the major things that they were doing, and that's the players had asked for that. And I saw that the Staples Center just announced. And so, I've got a good relationship with Commissioner Silver, so I emailed him the other night and said, what, he'd be just as good as the polling places if the players that day were at voting places, active players and alumni players, whatever it is, and that way registered voters would get a higher voter turnout. And I'm not saying they all be registered, but hopefully they would if we get them all registered, get everybody registered. But it's just a thought that the players might, if they want to be active, this may be something that they want to do.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to talk about in conjunction with, players being involved and players being active,
Mm-hmm.
Marquise Pouncey has, since 2017, worked with the Pittsburgh Police Department in an attempt to try and bridge better relationships between the African American community and the police. And now he's got Cam Hayward and a number of other players involved. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? If this is really where the core issue is, and the athletes can get involved with the police, that might be the best thing to do.
Well, I mean, you've had Malcolm Jenkins in the past, from the Eagles, and then Shaq.
Yeah, I just think it's what needs to happen. If it's really what you want to do, this is where you should go. This is where you should spend your time.
But we obviously still need serious policy changes. And we need to be like other countries in the world where it's not a high school diploma in a couple weeks in the police academy, learning how to shoot a gun.
Much better training, much better development. We need ongoing training, and we need to attract a better caliber person.
And I think...
And I'm not disparaging police, but I'm saying, it's like every other industry. If you can attract the best possible talent, you should go out of your way and do that.
Well, you look at the standards that nurses in this country have to have, which is a 4-year degree. They have licensing, and they have retesting, and if they fail any of those testings, they lose their licensing. And I think that's more than, if it's good enough, I think it's the same standards a nurse has, a police officer should have as well. And you look at, the shooting deaths in other countries compared to here, and it's like they all have, it's almost like the higher the training and the more difficult it is to get the position, the better caliber person they have in there. And that's not to say that, education is a end-all be-all, but in certain areas it seems like it definitely makes a big, big difference.
Well, let's go back to our sports talk and let's talk about the NBA. I am pretty much now, I was looking forward to the Celtics and Raptors series, and I thought it was going to be a really hard-fought, even series.
Yeah.
But with Gordon Hayward out, I just don't think the Celtics have enough depth to make it a 6 or 7 game series.
It's the combination.
The Raptors are playing very, very well, and I think the Raptors are going to win that series now.
It's also, as good as Kemba's looked, he also looked a little shaky in that first couple games back, and they don't know if that knee is just a regular injury or if that's something that can't be addressed. And with Hayward out, they definitely need him.
Okay, so we're both on the Raptors on that series.
I think Nick Nurse, he won Coach of the Year for a very good reason. And
yeah, he's done a great job. An absolute great job.
And Brad Stevens, obviously a great coach too. I'm actually picking the Celtics because I like the way Tatum is playing, and I think he's
okay.
I think if it's a close series, I think you pick the best player, and I think Jason Tatum is far and away the best player in that series. And I think
so this is one we can watch. So we're on two sides of the fence here.
Yeah.
Obviously, Houston's going to finish up Oklahoma City now.
It looks like it. Russ looks like he's healthy. He played terrible as far as the stat line goes yesterday, but I think, you're working a guy back in that hasn't been on the court in 4 weeks, besides all the...
rebounds and 6 assists in 19 minutes. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but he also shot 2 for 11 and had a bunch of turnovers too, so...
Yeah, no. He'll come along.
He'll come along.
First game action.
Yeah.
Where else are we to that? I think Houston wins that one.
I think the Bucks win their series.
The Lakers have advanced. Denver, Utah. What do you think?
It's Jamal Murray is playing out of his mind. Donovan Mitchell's playing out of his mind. I still think the Jazz, because they've got the 1-game lead, right? Is it 3-2?
Is it 3-2 now? Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, I think that even if I think Utah pulls it out, because I think it's going to be tough for either one of those teams to win 2 in a row right now. And then I think the Bucks beat the Heat, although I think the Heat are going to give them a lot of problems. Because I am a little worried about the Bucks. It wasn't just the first game. I don't feel like they ever looked dominant against the Magic that much, except for game 3, I think.
It's an interesting matchup. I like the team that he has. They're fun to watch.
Yeah.
But I picked Milwaukee to win it all. I don't see anything changing my mind on that.
No. I think, we hate to talk about, Hardenizing or Chris Pauling somebody's career. But I think for Giannis, despite obviously everything going on and the craziness and, it obviously very much affected the Bucks more than, first, because even the teams were mad that the Bucks were the first team to just, they didn't even tell the Magic they weren't going to come to the court. So there's a lot of emotion stuff. But I think for Giannis, I think this is one where he needs to reach the finals. I think everything is lined up for them, and I think if they don't, I think that's, that'll be one of those, I think then he gets lumped in with the Chris Paul, James Harden, can he get it done situation. Luka's probably got another year or two of just being a playoff player, where Giannis, I think, has reached the point now where it's like, you won Defensive Player of the Year, you might be a back-to-back MVP, we need to see you in the finals.
And we both agree the Clippers are going to take the Mavericks?
Yeah, I think, Porzingis, once again, meniscus.
Yep.
That was one of the reasons he was traded from the Knicks. Obviously, he was upset, but there was also long-term health concerns. And we've seen him when he's fully healthy. He and Luka, along with Curry and Trey Burke, and if you could add a third star to that somehow, that's a perennial contender if Porzingis stays healthy. And I think he's finally, he's always sort of been that, but you got to put that asterisk next to his name. As good as he is when he's healthy, he's not going to be healthy all the time, which is very unfortunate. And a guy that big, it doesn't usually...
I'm looking forward to a Clipper-Lakers series.
I'm very much looking forward to it. Yeah. So you don't give the Rockets a shot against the Lakers, then, right? You don't think the Rockets can beat the Lakers?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'd like to think that, but I don't think so. I think this is going to see Clippers-Lakers, and that's what we're going to see. Which would be a great battle. And it's looking to me like Milwaukee-Toronto, and the TUs look like Milwaukee-Boston.
Yeah, once again, the NBA, the teams we thought would be there in the beginning of the year, the teams that are here now, and most likely, the teams you thought would be in the finals are most likely going to be in the finals. It looked like it was going to be Milwaukee, Toronto, Boston from the East. And I know people put Philly in that conversation despite Philly's constant disappointments. And then everybody thought the West was in LA. It was whoever, won the Battle of Los Angeles. And I think we know who's going to win the Battle of Los Angeles. The Clippers.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because, usually when you have a big influx of players, you're usually a year away. Like it takes a year to get to gel. And it looks like with this break and everything that it's been really good for the Clippers.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's going to be a great series. Kawhi doesn't want to lose. LeBron doesn't want to lose, and I like those matchups. But I like AD better than I like Paul George.
I'm not
as a number 2 guy.
I don't like Paul George at all as a number 2 guy.
No.
As good as he can be at times, I think he's now proven throughout his NBA career what he can be your third star maybe, but
Yeah.
You can't count on him for a 7-game series to be there all 7 games, putting it out there.
No. On the NHL side, I'm excited that my Lightning are 3-1 over the Bruins.
Yeah.
Because the Blue Jackets and the Bruins were 2 kryptonite teams for the Lightning. So I'm excited that they're up 3-1 now without Stamkos. So I've been pretty bullish on the Lightning, so we'll see where they go.
In the hockey, the NHL, give them a little shout out. All the players have sort of been very much behind the NBA players as well in their support, which is nice to see, because hockey sometimes just is sort of a peripheral sport with a lot of Europeans and Canadians, and it just, but they're very much in support of the NBA, which is nice to see. All the camaraderie.
Right.
We had we finally got the Nduke trade, the big one from the Jaguars today. He's a Minnesota Viking now.
Vikings.
Yeah.
And we also had our first college football game yesterday.
Oh, we did, didn't we?
Central Arkansas beat Austin Peay.
Yeah. What seems like if we're all going to be out in the world and everything else, like it does seem to make sense that if you can keep people, people at their own person, you're responsible.
We're still making stupid decisions. Florida State's going to allow tailgating, which is, to me, that's death.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because if you put alcohol with stupid people and no masks, stupid things are going to happen.
Well, you also can't really drink alcohol with a mask on, which,
So that's why I'm saying you got to take the mask off.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, that's really dumb. I don't know why they're doing that. But I mean, playing, if they played in empty stadiums, I think there was no reason college football couldn't take place. Because as people pointed out, if you're not people on campus in the classrooms, it's really up to the individual to be the one that's responsible, that's washing their hand, wearing the mask, and social distancing. And,
yep. So NFL is 10 days away. How you feeling about it?
I'm tentatively excited. I mean, like I said, the NBA has been really great because, it seemed like everything the NBA was doing made sense from a health and safety standpoint, and clearly it has. Because I don't think they haven't had the outbreak in the bubble. And everything, so it's like you never worry that, once this happens. Whereas like you've looked at Major League Baseball, it's been somewhat of a disaster, I would say. I know they've still been able some teams.
Yes, another game today because somebody on the A's has it.
Right. And
they're tested positive.
Right. So now you have football, and it's like hopefully they learn, they can't do what baseball did. They maybe could have done what hockey did with the bubble cities. But, I'm hoping we get a full season. Obviously, here's our Steeler minute for a minute. Once again, despite, my pessimism about, our quarterback situation, I do find myself getting excited again. Thinking,
Well, I'm excited about it. We'll see where it goes.
Thinking the Ravens come back to earth a little bit. The Steelers defense, was able to hold, and the offense is just a little bit better.
Well, I guess next week we should do our predictions, right?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so we'll do our predictions on our weekend Labor Day show right before kickoff.
Sounds good.
Well, I saw an interesting baseball game last night. My disappointing Pirates. So they're winning, then they're losing, and then they give up. They're winning, and they give up 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th, and they're down a run. And Milwaukee brings in their closer, Bill Hader, their best guy.
Yeah.
And he proceeds to walk 5 guys. So he hasn't given up a hit all season, and he hasn't been scored on, and he walks 5 Pirates. So the Pirates are up a run now without a hit, and then they give up a walk-off home run to lose the game again.
Yeah.
They are such a disaster.
And, I've been reading the articles, too, about the potential Major League trade deadline, and as people pointed out, like, all the Pirates that you would potentially move are either hurt or they're having a Josh Bell-like season where if you're the Pirates, you have Josh Bell till 2022, and you wouldn't want to trade him now. If you could have traded him last year before the All-Star break when he was on a tear, you probably could have got something for him, but now it's like, is it even worth trading him?
Right.
And even if you do trade him, what are you going to do with all those young players you get that you don't seem to know what to do with either? I think we've talked about it before, but I feel like there does need to be some sort of, I don't know what the timeline would be, but there's got to be like an ownership competency situation where, maybe 2/3 of the other owners vote that you need to sell.
But they're in the same fraternity, because otherwise they'd get rid of Snyder and take the Redskins.
Yeah, that's true. I will say I got the new Madden football game, and it just says Washington Football Team. So everybody's up to date on their idiocy over there too, which is nice. They've gotten rid of everything else.
Yeah. Any entertainment?
I had a couple of things. One, I'm still really liking Lovecraft Country. I get it. It does get that second episode. It goes real weird.
Yeah.
But I'm always on board for weird, so it didn't bother me at all. I did prefer, of the 2 episodes, the moments that are a little bit more grounded were the ones that really grabbed my attention. But it's still enough of the unknown that I'm excited, because I don't know exactly what's going to happen. And I would say for anybody looking to get into it, what's nice about the first 2 episodes is I almost feel like the first 2 episodes worked as like a movie, where I felt like we got a beginning and middle and end of sort of that story. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Like,
where's it going to go?
Yeah, like, 'cause that was my first question. Like, when the end of episode 2 happened, and I'm not going to do any spoilers, I was like, well, that's where I thought we were spending the whole first season, or the majority of the season, on this storyline, and we're gone. And again, I don't have a huge Lovecraft sort of situation. I've also been watching, and I know you have too, the first episode of The Vow on HBO as well.
Yep, it was outstanding, wasn't it?
It really was, because I got to tell you, for the first 55 of the 58 minutes of the episode, I was ready to sign up for Nexium. Because it's, you hear, like, as people that know me know, because I tend to tell, like, I went to the Scientology orientation because we have one in Clearwater Beach, and I spent the day at the Scientology Center, and and that was going in knowing that they're whack. Well, I don't want to offend any of our potential Scientology thing, but the whole L. Ron Hubbard, Lord Xenu spaceship, there's a lot of weird stuff. But even when you were there with the rest of it, it felt a little hokey. Whereas when I'm watching the Nexium thing, like, they're talking about, therapy and psychology. And they're like, ours is not based on religion. It's like, and you have like a fear. And it was basically like watching like a live therapy session, or like some of my acting classes I've taken in the past, where it's very much about, okay, so you're afraid, and I know the example from the first episode is you're afraid of driving in traffic. And then it's sort of trying to get to the root of what caused you to have that fear, and then address it and work through it. And, then you like, the helping people. Like, it was like, you're helping me, and now I feel so good, I want to spread this love and help you. And it made a lot of sense. Now, obviously, there's something dark coming, but...
Well, I'm looking to see where they go tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun watching episode 2 tonight.
Yeah.
Whenever you get to watch it. I always watch it when it's scheduled. When I'm into something, I want to watch it right as soon as it's available.
Yeah, Maria was really disappointed there wasn't a second episode. She's like, that was it? And I was like, yeah, not till next week. And then I told you, I don't know how to recommend this show, but on Apple TV, I've been watching Ted Lasso, which is the Jason Sudeikis story of, he's a college football coach from like the SEC, and he gets brought in to be like basically a Premier League coach in Europe. And it looked like it was going to be a little bit like Major League, where the new owner of the team wanted in a divorce, and she wanted to tank the team to hurt her ex-husband. But it gets very sweet really quickly. Like, Sudeikis isn't the Sudeikis I think I was expecting. At least I expected sort of a more smarmy, sort of smartass, or really goofy or crazy sort of Sudeikis. But he's really just a very sweet, kind person who is really about teaching team and teammates and respect. But I found it, maybe it's, given the state of the world, that it's nice to have a place like that from time to time to go to. But
is it a movie or a series?
It's a series. They've done 5 episodes so far. And again, it's, you've got, on the team, you've got your aging veteran who's, no longer the prime. You've got the young star who's a selfish star. So you've got a lot of this, it's basically sports movie cliche, but it's really well done. And it's just, like I said, it's a very nice and charming show. And I know in this time when things are a little bit messed up and things continue to seem messed up, like, sometimes those shows are a nice place to escape to.
Yeah, sometimes it's a real good place to escape. I agree.
And I find British accents lovely, so I mean, you add that to the mix, and it's it's a win.
Okay.
And then, just because I knew we had to talk about it, I watched The Binge, the new Vince Vaughn movie on Hulu. It's basically, anyone that knows what The Purge is, which is the one night a year where you can murder people. The Binge is, we've cleaned up our act as Americans. We had a new prohibition, but now for a 12-hour period once a year, the cops release all the drugs into the world, and alcohol. So, Vince Vaughn is the principal of the school, and he's also the father of the girl that the main character is looking to woo. So, and it's basically, then it becomes your standard high school comedy of, trying to get to this party and become legends, and Vince Vaughn sort of chasing them, throughout and having his own little adventure. But if you like, book smart, super bad, any sort of, R-rated teen comedy, it's a fun romp, I would say. Like, personally, I wish they would have done more.
What was that movie Vince Vaughn was in where they were trying to have a fraternity on campus?
Old School.
Old School.
Yeah.
It's like puts Vince Vaughn in one of the roles other than what Vince Vaughn usually would be.
Yeah, Vince Vaughn, like I said, he's the principal, and let's just say Vince Vaughn has a past with The Binge before he became the principal.
Okay.
And I would say, as a Vince Vaughn, not quite the fan that you are, but as a Vince Vaughn fan, it did seem like maybe he stuck to the script a little more this time, which I can't say I love. I sort of like when you can tell that he's riffing. And I don't feel like he had enough moments to really just go riff on, go all Vince Vaughn on him. But it's, like I said, it's on Hulu, it's free, it's pretty enjoyable. So, it may be on other streaming services, I don't know. I don't know if it's Hulu exclusive, I didn't pay attention.
Well, I would recommend Private Cathedral by James Lee Burke, the latest in his Dave Robichaud series. I'm sure my friend Jake Jones will agree with me. I mean, it's another great, great novel. And so I read that last week. I finished that up. And then Michael Connolly, the crime writer, has a bunch of short stories.
Yeah.
That I've been finding different publishing. And I read 3, The Angle something, and those were really good. I read one that was a ghost story, like I guess he had published under another name. And it was a very well-written ghost story, but it was very, very predictable.
Okay.
I mean, so you knew what was going to happen, and it happened. It was well-written.
Well, that's good.
It was called The Safe Man.
Yeah, sometimes...
80-page, novella, I guess you'd call it. Not a short story, 80 pages. I don't know if that's a short story or not, but it was good.
Yeah. I think you reach a certain point of story consumption where it's very tough to find something that blows you out of the water from an originality standpoint. But
yeah, that's probably a good point.
But when you find stuff that's just really well executed, it can be appreciated on that same level, The old Shakespeare quote, there's only so many stories, it just matters we weave them together and all that sort of thing. So, and I wish I could tell you I had a food moment, but I have not done anything since Paco's Wonderful Tacos last week.
And I did not eat out at all, but I'm going to go. Mom and I are going to Hilton Head tomorrow through Friday, and we'll be eating out at restaurants. So I'll give my Hilton Head food reviews on the show next week.
Nice. Very nice. So for next week, we're going to do NFL previews.
Yep.
We try to do the entire NFL?
Well, I guess we need to because we might do a little longer show than usual.
Yeah.
But we've got, because that'll be the last show before the opening kickoff.
That's true. It's so crazy. It's weird to believe that Tuesday is September in this weird year we're having. So.
I know. It's crazy. Well, everybody stay safe, stay smart, register to vote, wear your mask.
Yeah.
Watch the vibe.
Perfect.